Hello, everybody. Welcome to Crafty Soup. My name is Misty. It is time for another episode in my Mystery Box Monday series. If you're new here, I have this mystery box of crafting supplies. I reach in, grab 3 things, and put them to use on a project. So let's go ahead and dive in. All right, here is my mystery box, and I am just going to go ahead and reach in here and get started. The first thing I pull out is this chipboard piece. I've had this brand and chipboard pieces a few times in past videos, but the second thing is a chunky box, and I'm trying to get that out of there without revealing anything. So at first I think it's like a lettering kit, but it turns out that it's a mixed media kit from Ranger, and it has some perfect pearl powders in there. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. And then the third piece I get is another chipboard piece. So I'm going to have to do this again and put these chipboard pieces together. Now, the first thing I think about is one of them has the word sun on it and the other one has flowers. Makes me think about my garden and so on and so forth. So I have an initial idea brewing as I look through the rest of these. So I open up that mixed media kit and the little brush in there is a bit wonked out. Now, I've had this box for well over a year, and so a lot of these things have just been sitting on my basement floor for quite a while. But the rest of the mixed media kit has some black tags. This is a pen that is supposed to have some kind of medium to help grab onto those powders, as well as this stencil, and then also kind of an ink pad type applicator with medium in it. So as I'm looking through this, I'm thinking I like the word sun. The stencil has the word hello, so I want to combine those with hello sun. So an idea is starting to form. But the first thing I want to do before I get to that is work with this mixed media, because I know the Perfect Pearls powder needs to be set with water. And after I did all this, I wasn't sure if those mediums would also set it. I would think so, but I end up spraying it with water anyway because I didn't think about it until later. So at any rate, I don't have a lot of experience with these mediums. So this is all kind of me based on what the little knowledge I have trying to make a go of things. So I do go ahead and cut off the flowers from, it looks like it's probably a violin or something along those lines. Now, my middle kid played cello for a couple of years, and so I did have that thought in my head that I could use it as like a cello embellishment. But I've already told some of those stories, and it was so long ago that I think I'm just going to go with my initial idea and cut these apart and put the pieces together that work for me and work with it that way. Now, would I have bought this embellishment with the intent to cut it apart? No. But since this is a mystery experiment, then we're going to go ahead and go there. So as I start working with these Perfect Pearls, I'm trying to think about how to keep things from becoming a mess, because I am not a fan of glitter. I had Perfect Pearls on my wish list because I know you can put them into a vial of water. Like, I forgot to mention that in this kit, there's that little mini Mr. spray bottle. And my intention was to get just a shimmery silver color, put it in the bottle with water, and use it as a shimmery spritz spray. But I just haven't done it yet because I've tried other things and I just wasn't sure. So this is a perfect time for me to try all of this stuff out and see how I feel about this. I do not like loose glitter, so I was really worried that messing with this stuff would be a lot like messing with loose glitter. And I was worried I wasn't going to like it. So I'm figuring out how to work with this stuff without making a humongous mess. Having a scratch piece of paper helped. Having a little tray to catch over dusting helped. And then as I was working with this, I realized my flowers had some leaves on it. And so I pulled out my Stand It Up pastels, which has got to be probably 15 years old, this pan of pastels. And you can see I haven't even used most of the colors. So it's nice to pull out this really old thing in my stash. And I have considered getting rid of this pan of pastels a couple of different times just because I don't use them very much. But then every once in a while, a burst of inspiration like this will happen. And I think, well, okay, they're not taking up that much space in my craft room. I might as well just leave them sitting there. I am applying the medium with this marker onto the chipboard, and it is not working great. One, the marker seems a bit dry, probably because it's been sitting in my box for over a year. And then I move to the ink pad thing, and that starts disintegrating, and I take a closer look at it, and it doesn't look like an ink pad. It doesn't have any kind of foam or felt to it. It's just kind of gooey. And I will talk a little bit more about that later. But as I'm working with these materials, I do want to say that they have been sitting on my basement floor for over a year, probably a year and a half. So I wouldn't chalk up their failure to the product necessarily, but to me having let them sit around for so long. So that would be my first guess. All right, so I work with the materials as to the best of my ability, and I'm kind of liking how it's coming out. I put the pink pearl powder onto the flowers. I used the gold for the swirls, and I did use my chalk pastels for the leaves, and I kind of like how it's coming out. I pull a really old piece of pattern paper out of my stash. Something summery was what I was looking for because I wanted to tell a little bit of story about how we're getting our patio prepped for the summer. We moved all the furniture. We gave it an initial cleaning. We need to have some patio guys come and do the rest of it. Oh, here is where I've decided to completely ditch that medium. It looks like earwax to me. It is completely grossing me out. The texture is just gooey and lumpy, so off it goes. And I've pulled out my pad of Versamark instead, because Versamark has a tacky quality to it used for embossing, and it'll work here. Before I get to using that Versamark, I am using the stencil with a black ink pad to work on that title that I mentioned. I'm going to combine hello and the word sun that I cut apart from the rest of that chipboard piece. And so we'll get that going on. My word sun has been treated with the perfect pearl, so it's got some shimmery goldness to it, which works perfect for the word sun. And I'm going to stack up those title pieces together. Well, I say pieces, but title words together, and get that going on. All right, so yes, I did ditch that quote-unquote ink pad of medium. I did not like it at all. I'm really curious. I should probably go do a little bit of research on what that medium is supposed to look like, and see if it's just mine has gone bad. All right, I have this tag here that I kind of breezed over towards the beginning of the video. I had splattered water on there with the Tim Holtz splatter tool. That is a new tool to me, so I was playing around with it. It did leave very large petals, and with the perfect pearls, I would recommend at least using like a corner of a towel or a paper towel to sop up the excess water, because you don't need petals that thick. So that is something I would do differently now that I kind of know a little bit more about these materials. But I let that tag completely dry. I even had to hit it with my heat tool. Once it was completely dry, I could use my rag to wipe off the excess powder, and I like the results there, so I will do this again for sure. And in the end, cleaning up all of this powder was way easier than cleaning up glitter. I think just the fine powderiness of it made it easier to just wipe it up with a cloth, and I had no problems with shiny bits left over on my skin, getting on my face, all those things I hate about glitter. So I'm pretty happy working with this stuff so far. We'll see. I'll use it a few more times before I totally make up my mind, because even after doing this, I'm still a little bit skeptical, and it was just a little bit awkward for me trying to figure out how to keep things clean. But now that I know a little bit better, it might make the whole process feel smoother, and I will give it more of a chance and a try. All right, I did cut apart that tag to make it look like it's even longer than it is, because I wanted to put a subtitle down there. All of my sticker books were running out of letters, and you kind of saw me show those a little bit earlier. So I grabbed one of my common stamp and die sets that I use for making my own alphabets, and I am going to work with these today to get that subtitle going on there. And I have this new, I think it's a We Are Makers sticky folio. It's called something along those lines. And I haven't used it very much yet. And you can see here, it has sticky dots to it, but it's not sticking super well. I'm having to use this burnishing tool. It does come with that tool to make sure that they're adhering to those sticky dots. And then when I lift them up, it's not lifting a complete surface of dots. It's just catching them here and there. So far, I'm not terribly impressed. So I'm going to keep using it and keep going with it and see what I think. But this one is not on my excited about list. So that's how products go. Sometimes you have to try them to see if you like them. Now, my letters were quite a bit larger than I wanted them to be, and they've covered up most of that tag. Oh well. That's part of what's fun about this Mystery Box Monday series is that you never know what you're gonna get. And some things work out and some things don't, and you learn along the way. So I have used that Versamark ink to ink through the stencil around the edges to get the triangular pattern going on there. I thought that geometric pattern worked well with the idea of my patio and getting that surface cleaned up, which I didn't finish the story. We're going to have a concrete company come in and do a power wash, a good washing of it, and then put a good sealant on it because it hasn't been done in a while. And if you don't seal your concrete, it is subject to winter damage, which can cause it to crack over time. So I want to make sure we try and take care of that surface and keep our investment nice for the future. Okay, that brings us to the end of this one. If you are a regular follower, thank you so much once again for being here for these crazy projects. And if you're new, I hope you'll keep coming back for the future crazy projects. I do have some regular videos coming for you later this week. So until then, I hope you have an artful day.